Smart strategy, real conversations, bigger margins. This is Chasing the Margin podcast.
All right, well, welcome back to Chasing the Margin. Today we have a very special guest that I'm very excited about. We have Annie Fairchild, who is our managing partner at my firm. She's somebody that has spent a lot of time investing in me. That means a lot to me, not only in business, but also personally. So, Annie, really excited to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Great to be here, Troy. I'm excited to be meeting with you.
Yeah. So, Annie, let's just start with a very general question. Why CPA? Why get into the CPA business? Why did you choose that route?
Oh, absolutely. So in high school, I loved math, just loved math, loved my algebra class, loved calculus. I went into college thinking, hey, I'm going to have a math degree. Again, took my calculus my first year and loved that. But I was struggling with, well, what do I do with a math degree? And my dad said, well, Annie, what about accounting? I said, well, what is accounting? I don't even heard that word. What is accounting? And he told me a little bit about what it was. I went to that first principles class and caught on really well. And it's like, wow, this is for me. I like doing this.
Yeah. So was the principles class like college? Was it before college? When exactly did you take that first class?
That principles class was my sophomore year of college. It might have been the second half of my freshman year. I can't remember. It's been a little while. But I took that. It was in college.
Okay. Gotcha. So on the college note, you are an athlete, a college athlete, which has made a huge impact on your life. You've had a lot of great success in that area. Tell us, what exactly did you do? How did that help you maybe along with business and just in general with the skill set going forward?
Yes, so I did. I was in high school and being very successful in track and found a school that would let me run for them. Went to that school, and when I showed up at the college, my coach said, well, you're going to run cross country and track. I was like, oh, well, what is cross country? Because my school only had track, and I didn't know what cross country was. He told me, and I was like, oh, my goodness, I've never run that far. Well, I'd run that far in practice, but not in a race. So cross country was a 5K at the time, and that was 3.1 miles. So our first day of practice, 6-mile run. Oh my gosh, I've never run 6 miles in my whole entire life. But that was the beginning. And it was a very successful 4 years in my track and cross-country career at school. I went to Liberty University. And that really taught me just great teamwork, how to work with a team, you've got your ups and your downs and just pulling and encouraging each other. And the whole team has to work together. You can't have somebody just off on their own. It's not going to work. But really, really developed some great teamwork.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so a lot of my friends are in their 30s. They're all guys. They love to do sports. So one of my favorite ways to introduce Annie to them is, oh, this is the lady that I work with that also ran track, that ran this 6-minute, 10 miles at a time. And they all think that they're so good until they hear that and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we used to go on 10-mile runs and our pace was right at 6 minutes. So it would be right at 60 minutes that we would finish our 10-mile run.
Okay. So as far as the athletic side of things, and obviously in any type of athletics, there's competition involved. Do you think that played any role in your business walk as far as contributing to why you like to do what you do?
Yeah, good point. So competition, I'm very competitive. So even in practices, when I was running in practice, I always pushed myself to the top of the group as we're running. And if somebody would get ahead of me, well, then I would just push harder to be in the front. So competition has really played a role, that it's really pushed me internally. And I think that flowed right into my business and pushing me in where I am in the business and trying out new things that were difficult, but having that competitiveness inside me helped out.
Yeah. And shout out to all of our employees back at the firm. They'll all get a good laugh out of that because it's a running joke at the office of how competitive Annie is regardless of what we're doing. So everybody loves seeing that competitive side of her and just seeing her, really pour herself into anything regardless of what it is.
Well, Troy, I think you taught me. I think, Troy, that you are the top of the competitiveness at the firm.
Yeah, we have had many laughs in the competition things that we've done at the office.
We have definitely.
So one of the things that I'm always curious about is with business owners who have started very successful businesses, there's obviously challenges. Doesn't matter what the business is, what industry it is. What are maybe some of the most challenging things that you've had to do with starting your own CPA firm, growing it to a very good size here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex? What's some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, I tell you that I think technology has been a great challenge. The technology is constantly changing. And if you do not push yourself into more technology, then you're going to be left behind. I met with somebody earlier this week, and that person was a CPA firm, but they're still using paper. They're not using technology. And that is a significant part that we have to keep up with the technology. The other is our skill set and our knowledge, the knowledge base you have to know as a CPA, as a professional in this world, keeping up with the knowledge that is constantly changing. The laws are constantly changing in tax and audit and generally accepted accounting principles. And then the other area is employees, learning to know your employees and work with every personality. We like to use the DISC program to help us with each of our staff's personalities and knowing where everybody's strengths are and their weaknesses so that we can help them build in those strengths.
Yeah, and do you think that it's important for each different company to have maybe different pieces of the disc, different employees? How do you see that impact our firm? Kind of talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So that disc, basically showing those 4 different personalities. And then, of course, there's a scale in each one of those. I don't think a firm can survive if they don't have a little bit of everything. Because you have different strengths to pull on. That high D person needs to learn to work with that high C person because you need somebody that's really good in the tax law and the accounting and GAAP law. But then you also need that I person who's got your personality and the fun that they're going to bring.
The salespeople.
Yes, the salespeople.
Yeah. We have a lot of different personalities at the firm, and it's always funny how even those little things, because we did that as a group together, it gets brought up, and it's a good demonstration of how people are different, but also good to just enjoy and laugh with each other about our personality quirks. We'll say that.
I would say we all have little personality quirks.
So here's one that we haven't asked on the podcast yet that I'm curious if maybe you have an opinion on. There's 2 sides to this. Everybody has different principles in life that they live by. Specifically on this podcast, all of the people we have will be business owners. So do you have any specific business principles that you live by that you feel like are important in life, maybe specifically to business or important to have in your life outside of business as well? Do you have anything that you're like, this is something that's really important to you?
Well, I think important to me, which I think, of course, should be important to everybody, is just really do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Do the right thing with other people that you're working with your friends, with your clients, with your staff. And that's where also ethics falls in line. Too many times it's tempting to maybe do the wrong thing or doing something that's more self-centered. And so if you do the right thing, in the end, it'll come back and be good for you. Do the right thing as far as like how you treat other people, doing the right thing as far as like, researching and knowing the law, or telling a client, hey, I don't know what to do, or we don't have the competencies in here, and so we need to reach out and get other competencies. So I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I think on those same lines, this is a business podcast, and we talk to all kinds of people with all different backgrounds, but I know you specifically, faith is a very important part of your life. So I want to hear maybe how that's impacted your business journey, having a faith-oriented background as a Christian.
Right. So I think all of us are placed on this earth for a reason. Each one of us has a very specific purpose, and hopefully, you found your job position, and that helps you fulfill the purpose that you have in life. But knowing that we're here to do more than just make money. We're here to fulfill that purpose of what the Lord has created us to do. And a lot of that is created us to build his kingdom. So what I constantly am asking myself, what am I doing right now to help build his kingdom? And so that I can go to the Lord and say, this is what I did for you, Lord.
Well, you and I share similar thoughts on that, where our relationship with God is very important. But then there's also another relationship after that that's also very important, which would be your spouse. So I'm curious, as Mr. Brad Fairchild and you have been together for a very long time, maybe what are some of the things that being married has helped you along your business walk, where having Brad there, maybe there's a specific time that you remember that you want to share with everybody of how having that person with you helped you to succeed in the business?
So, well, this year, Brad and I will have been married 39 years.
Yeah.
So we've hit a lot of years there. And I think just having that best friend to help you and encourage you through life. So back 15 and a half years ago when I started the business, I was going in for a fourth interview at a large firm. And I called my husband, Brad, and I said, well, are you okay with us starting our own business? Because he needed to be okay with it because our income was going to drop to zero as soon as that happened. And he said, yep. So I went into that fourth interview and I said, sorry, guys, I'm going to start my own business. And it was very difficult, but Brad was behind me the whole entire way. And yes, our income dropped significantly. The whole entire family had to kind of come together and discuss how we're not going to spend money that we don't have. But he's been with me the whole entire way, just encouraging me and helping me, and been a good somebody to help vent to and help me see different perspectives. So he's been very great support.
Well, that's great. And I know that you, like you mentioned, made that decision whenever you were trying to decide which direction to go with your career, on whether you wanted to join a firm and maybe pursue a partnership path with a firm that was already existing, or like you ended up choosing to do, going your own route and just starting your own business completely from scratch. Why did you choose to go this route instead of continuing to maybe pursue a larger firm and partnership there?
I think one reason that really hit me hard is at that third interview, they gave me a time in my life when I reached a certain age that it'd be forced retirement. And that was going to be about 20 years for me, 15, or maybe it's only 15 to 20 years. It was going to be a forced retirement. And I thought, oh my goodness, I know my own work ethic. I know how hard I'm going to work and how hard I'm going to work for this company. And then they're just going to force me to retire. And what do I do then? What if I'm not ready to retire? That was a big decision. The other decision was I had 4 children at home. And I wanted to be more of a mother. I wanted to have a little bit more flexibility. So not minding to work, but maybe having flexibility in when I worked and where I worked so that I could also be a mother.
Yeah. So on that note, that's, like you said, one of the primary reasons that you wanted to do your own thing was to be a mom. Have there been challenges where being a successful businesswoman and also trying to be a mom have come up? Tell us about maybe a specific story that was really difficult to maybe swallow because of a decision that you had to make that was either tough as a mom or tough as a business owner.
Well, I think society is getting a little bit better with having women in business, but there's a lot of chatter out there that almost puts down women that work full time. They say, the mother should be at home and just be a full-time mother, and really kind of negative connotations to women that work full-time. So that's been a little discouraging when you would get comments like that or work with other friends that spoke in that direction. But I think God has a certain place for us women that work, and we can handle it. And I think my children have grown up learning to really be a part of the family, doing chores and doing different tasks in the family because we had to work as a team. And then they were able to take that off into later on in life, where some of their friends went to college and had never cleaned before, or never done their laundry before, never cooked before, or all of our kids had already done that. So I think it was really positive for my kids to have that time. It's like, hey, we're a family as a team, and we all come together, and this is where our family's at. So it's been good for our kids.
That's good. Did you ever, our first guest had an experience where he has a son and he wasn't getting to spend as much time with his son as he wanted to. And his son one night asked him what he could do to help his dad stay home. And that really pulled on his heartstrings. Obviously, I think as any type of parent, regardless of whether it's a mom or a dad, having your kid want to spend more time with you and you not being there is really emotional for any parent, I think. Did you ever have an experience like that with one of your girls where they were like, Mom, I wish you were here more, or anything like that?
I spent quite a bit of time with them, and I do have 4 girls. They're all older. So the youngest one is now 25 to 33. But when after I did start my own business, the girls would help me. So there were sometimes I did little marketing campaigns, and we would all sit in the living room folding papers and putting them in envelopes and putting stickers on and stamps. And so they would all start doing different things to help me out. They, as they got older, because one was in high school, she would help file documents for me. Some helped me with social media. So the girls have all stepped in to help. Every single one of them, at some point in their life, they have worked for the company and helped me out. So I think they got to be a part of it, and then they could understand it a little bit more. And they knew that we were doing this so that we could spend more time.
Yeah, I got you. One of my favorite stories that you tell occasionally at the firm is talking about one of your daughters and how she had a very unique job when you were working at home, and she may have been your receptionist. And a client came over, and it was a pretty funny story. So why don't you tell us about that?
Right. So our littlest one, Laura Beth, she was 9 years old, and we had converted our dining room into an office. And so all the girls helped us do that, helped us convert the whole room, helped us paint it and get it all ready. And it had the doors on it, and it was right next to the front door. So all the girls knew they had to be quiet when Mama was on the phone. And when clients would actually come to our house, so this client, and she was a grandmother, so she came to the door, and my little 9-year-old let her in, and she said, "Shh, my mama's on the phone, but you can sit down right here." And she gave her a little bench right by the front door for her to sit. And so, yes, she was my little receptionist.
Yeah, I just really love that story. I also like to hear any entrepreneur and the things that they try to teach their kids by, like you said, having them help in the business, even if it's something small such as folding envelopes or anything like that for young children. It definitely shows them what hard work is and how important it is. One of the things that you and I see a lot with meeting with clients is we kind of see both ends of the spectrum. We see kids that are extremely hard workers because they see their parents that have worked so hard through their life, and then maybe we see some that are not as hardworking because they may have been given a little more than some other people. How do you feel about hard work and teaching that to your kids? And do you think it's difficult whenever you're a successful business person, or is it easier? What are some of the things that you've gleaned from either your personal experience or maybe other clients that you've seen?
Yeah, I think kids learn significant from hard work or just doing work where we don't have to do everything for them. We even though if you can afford, like maybe afford your lawn care, well, why not have your kids do it? That's good for them. It's good for them to just not always be given luxury things or sitting around by the pool or watching TV. So even though we could afford lawn care, it's like, we don't need that. Our girls can get out here and do that. So they were always mowing the lawn, weed eating, pulling weeds, trimming bushes, all of that growing up. And then they also became part of just helping dinner. All of our girls, when they were seniors in high school, they had what they called PM off or AM off. So they only had a half day. I was like, okay, since you're in half day, now your job is to start going to the grocery store and buying groceries, and you need to fix dinner at least like 2 times a week. So that was part of their job. That was really became part of their education. They're learning how to go shop. They're learning how to plan for a meal, of course. And then I was right there with them to help them through that. but they were learning those different skill sets that today they use.
Yeah. So did you have, I don't know if maybe they did, maybe they didn't have allowances growing up. Was part of doing chores or anything like that required for said allowance? Was it just you're
Yeah,
working just
we didn't give
because?
allowances. We did not. You work because you're part of the family. Now, when if we had a if we needed one of our older children to babysit, we would pay them to babysit.
Yeah.
If but they did not get an allowance. They had to work for their money.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to the business side of things, is there anything in business either currently or historically that maybe scares you, that's maybe something that's just makes you feel uneasy with a specific thing that has to be addressed just in normal day-to-day business, or something that maybe scared you in the past that maybe you took that leap and it paid off? Is there ever been an experience like that?
Well, I think as any company grows, so when you have a small company, then it's you, and you know it's being spoken to the clients. You know what research is there. You know what's the output that's going out. So as a company grows, you lose control of that because you have meetings with clients that you're not in, and to be able to make sure that your staff are educated and actually saying the correct things to the clients, that's I think not necessarily a concern, but it's just something I'm very aware of and wanting to constantly make sure that our staff are educated and know the law so that they are speaking the correct advice and giving the correct advice to our clients.
Yeah. And then obviously it's hard to maybe let go of certain things as business owners are very closely held to the vest whenever they've built this business. It's essentially their baby, and it's hard to let go of things sometimes. Has there been any type of way that you've helped let yourself go of, one of our departments at the office, or maybe it's a billing thing, or, all kinds of things that you've eventually had to let go because the business has grown to a point where Annie cannot do everything?
Right. And I think that comes with just good coaching and leadership and other people telling you can't do everything. If you want to grow, you're going to have to let it go. So reading a lot of books, I tell our staff to always read lots of books.
Yes.
Reading books kind of helps, and the books to me have almost been a mentor to me. As I read books, I learn from them. I research into it more, or read a different book that's highlighted in that book. But learning from those, and if we want to grow, if we want to have that ability to impact more people, and that's what I love, that we have so many people that we can impact, and we can help them in their taxes, help them in their businesses, help them to have more money in their pocket so that their business can grow in different ways. That's so exciting to me. So having that just impact on the clients is important.
Yeah. So in regards to coaching, I know that you've done some one-on-one coaching. I'm sure you've been parts of all kinds of organizations with groups of CEOs or people that own their own businesses, whatever it may be. Do you feel positive about doing coaching? Has it been a positive experience? Has it been a net neutral experience where you saw some benefit, not as much? Would you encourage someone to do group or individual coaching?
So I think all are good. So I have been involved in group coaching. I've been involved in individual coaching, and now we're part of a leadership coaching right now with an organization called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, the EOS. I love that kind of coaching that we're getting from the team, and then also just having within your organization an advisory board or other partners to hear, because every single person in your organization should be somebody that to give an ear to listen to what they have to say, to collaborate together, to not act as if there's one person that knows all, because we don't. Mm-hmm. We're constantly learning and hearing all of that great advice from other people that have other positions in the firm, that have other personalities. I think balancing yourself with all those different positions and personalities, it's important to surround yourself with other people.
Yeah. And on the EOS, or the Entrepreneurial operating system that you mentioned earlier. So EOS, we'll call it that. I know that at first you and I had a very similar opinion. Before we took the first meeting with our our implementer is what she's called. We were both a little skeptical of it because it was like, why would we not just do this ourselves? What was it that made you take the jump to do the EOS and kind of get past that skepticism?
Right. So I was very skeptical about that EOS system. And it was really the rest of the team saying, yeah, Annie, we need to do this. I was like, yeah, you really think so? Yeah, we should do this. We should do this. And I think it's been very good to have an outside person be able to look in, because when you are so involved in the business, you can't necessarily see everything that's going on. And sometimes somebody else might be able to present something a little bit differently. So having this other person, she's helped drive our business. She's helped force us to set aside time. And I think if we tried to set aside our own time, one, we wouldn't have a good leader to lead it, because that person would have to spend more time figuring that out. But also we have, she's there to lead us and force the time. Like, hey, we're meeting next week. This is it. It's happening. And we don't counsel on her. So we just make it happen.
Yeah. So ultimately, I guess what it came down to was you hired people within AFairchild to be leaders within the organization. And it came down to, Annie, do you trust these people and their opinion, or do you not trust these people? And you really kind of had to put your money where your mouth was at that point.
That's right. That's right. And so the majority said, let's do it. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it's been great. It's been awesome. It's been the best thing for us to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. The EOS thing was definitely something that I too was skeptical of, but it's been a really great experience. It's taught us a lot, and we're still so early in the journey. I'm sure it's going to teach us so much more. So one of the things that's always challenging that EOS, we kind of started this around the same time that this happened in your life, but one of the things that's challenging for entrepreneurs is they can't step away from their business. Regardless of whether they're supposedly on PTO, they have a really hard time not just answering an email or just taking a phone call here and there or just taking meetings. And you really struggle with that yourself. But recently you were kind of forced to, because you were out of the country and you had to leave some of your laptop and things behind. So tell us about how that experience was. Was it difficult? Was it easy? Did it help you? Tell us about it.
Well, I still had my phone, and my phone still had my email on there. But I think we do need to force ourselves to step away, because it refreshes your brain. It gives you a different perspective. And it also allows the rest of your leadership team to take over and do the job that you know that they can do without you. So you're not needed all the time. And a leader needs to not be needed all the time. That your whole team can do that. So
I think that's good. I also think that, as you continue to grow as a person and as people get older in life, it's more difficult on their bodies physically and mentally to have to deal with the stress of a business all the time. So have there been any things in your life that you've started doing that you force yourself to either break away from the business and maybe do something physical, or just trying to take care of yourself mentally and physically? Is there something that you're like, regardless of what happens, I will do these things to recover, essentially?
Right. So I think just making sure that eating healthy and exercising are so key and important. So in 24, I just really had a big scare because I started having some heart issues. And kind of my doctor said I was at a high risk of having heart issues, and said, Annie, you've got to start eating better. You've got to start exercising. You've got to get your supplements in there. And I think, life is so short, and it goes back to that whole purpose. Why are we here in life? And we don't need to stress about it. I mean, right now there's several stressors that are going on at the office. And it's like, you know what? It's okay. It is what it is. We'll work through it. Regardless of what it is, we'll just work through it, but we don't need to stress about it. We just need to take it in, get the facts, and make some decisions. So I've made a big change as far as my, eating, exercising, and supplement vitamins I'm taking the last year.
Okay. So one of the things that supposedly helps stress, maybe sometimes it helps, maybe sometimes it doesn't, is bringing on other people in an equity position within the firm. So you've recently gone through this journey within the last couple of years yourself. How has that been? Have there been stressors? Has it been good? Has it been bad?
Yeah, so Troy, you're one of those equity partners that we brought on. So the firm had gotten to a size that in 23, I was like, I can't do this firm by myself anymore. We really need some partners, and really identified 5 others in the firm that, these 5 people are really strong leaders in the firm. I'd like to invite them to come in and be equity partners. And that happened in 24, and it was life-changing. At some point you need a whole entire team to help you lead a business. And so it has been one of the best decisions that I made, is bringing on other equity partners.
That's good. And I'm sure your favorite part of the whole process was having to read contract and then revision and then contract and then revision. So how was that experience, maybe for some of the business owners that may be listening, going through writing a partnership agreement? Because now it's no longer just Annie. That agreement impacts other people and their families as well. How was writing the whole contract experience for you? Was it?
Yeah, that was terrible. When you have a partnership agreement, you got to make sure it says everything, and that it's just, because once it's done, it's done. It's very difficult to change those things, and to make sure you're thinking through everything, and how it's going to benefit people, and so that was a very challenging time. But I think everybody gave. We opened the door for all the equity partners to help with that process, to help give their comments, and we made most of all the changes, or many of the changes that people requested to have in there. So
Yeah, and then this is a little more general of a question, but I think you have a good understanding of this, and it'll be helpful for other people to know. So we see not only in partnership agreements that maybe we've written, but also in other clients' partnership agreements, there can be 2 different types of partners. One of those being a straight equity partner, one of them being known as what's called a profits interest partner. Explain to us maybe what the difference is, so that somebody may be considering bringing on someone, but they want to have options.
sure, I think partnership agreements are very flexible. Versus, like, many of our clients are S corporations, and S corporations are not flexible. And an S corporation has to have one level of stock. And actually, our firm, because I was only one owner, and to be a partnership, you have to have more than one owner. But at the time, we were an S corporation from the beginning until just last year, in 24. We switched over to be a partnership. And why did we do that? We wanted flexibility. We wanted to be able to do an equity partnership or a profits. So an equity is you a lot of times you buy in to have equity, and you have value immediately in the whole entire firm. A profits partner comes in at a certain point. Let's say maybe the company is worth $1 million now. The profits partner would come in, and their value would be 0 at day 1, not a percentage of that million. But then from that point on, they would own a percentage of the company and all of the profits that grew at that point in time.
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation. I think it's also helpful for people to know that maybe they have a key employee that doesn't have the ability to buy in, but they want to retain that person. I think a profits interest in that type of situation is a great tool that they could use, that we could kind of help guide them on maybe a question of how they could bring that person in.
Absolutely. And not only that, Troy, because there are many clients out there that are S corporations. And so what do we do in that situation where maybe we need to reorganize them to become a partnership, so we can have flexibility? If you're an S corp, you cannot have a profits interest. Only equity interests are allowed in an S corp. But we can do a reorganization so that we can have a profits interest, so that you can bring on other partners. You can have voting, you can non-voting, you can have all sorts of incentives in that partnership agreement that you can't have in an S corp.
Yeah.
And that takes a full reorganization to do that. But we can do it, and it's very exciting how much money we can save clients by doing that.
Yeah. And I think that what you're demonstrating here, or at least on the tax side of things, is there's lots of complexities. And I know that's one of the things that you really love about tax is diving into the tax law and figuring out all the complexities that you can maybe help a client use specific things to save some money. So you've taught clients lots of things over the years, and clients come in all the time asking you, maybe it's a tax question, maybe it's just a general finance question. You teach all kinds of people, but I'm sure you've had experiences where you've learned from your own clients over all these years. I've definitely had it just at the time that I've been at the firm where I see clients do things and I learn from them. What's something that maybe you've seen a client do historically in the past that you feel like you've been like, oh, that's a really good idea, and you've taken that and used it to tell other clients about, or used it for your own personal business as well?
I think for our clients, we have to go and we get so many different creative things that are going on that we've got to go and research what exactly is happening, what can we do, how can we be creative. So digging into that law to help them with their business. What exactly are they doing, and what can we take of that knowledge that they've given us? So a lot of times I tell clients, I said, the more you talk, the more I'm going to be able to help you, because you're going to talk and you're going to start saying things, and I'm like, oh, you do that. Oh, you do that. Okay, well, let's see how we can be smart with that knowledge that you're giving to us. We can move some things around and help you out there. I think we're constantly learning from every single client what's going on, because we're constantly then going back to the law for that particular situation, not only for federal law, but for Texas franchise. So Troy, you've helped out and done a lot of research with Texas franchise laws, how a client comes in and we dig deep into that law and have found like great savings. I think our biggest savings, I think, for a client was about $146,000, where we went and amended 4 years of returns.
Yeah, that sounds right. Has there ever been a client that's come in that's really inspired you with what they were doing, whether it's their family life, their faith life, their business life? What about that particular person inspired you, or was there someone?
Right. So I do like to live out my faith in the business, and I see other clients that are really doing that. They really show their faith in their business in different ways, and that really inspires me. Like, well, what can I do? What can be stronger to share the Lord, or to show, put scriptures on the wall, or put scriptures somewhere. There's many companies out there, very large companies. I think one puts a scripture on their bags. One does, I think, on their cups, or just different places. So that has been inspirational to me, what some other companies have done with their faith.
Yeah, and then you've kind of chosen to take a little step further with us in the business. Tell us about that, how you've maybe brought on somebody who helps with that side of things.
Right. So a couple of years ago, we just realized that we're here for more than just making money, but to make an impact. Actually, in I think 2018, I listened to John Maxwell speak, and he really spoke on intentional living. And then he's got a book called Intentional Living. I went and bought that book. And it's like, wow, how can I live my life to intentionally bring impact and significance to other people? So a couple of years ago, we brought on a full-time pastor. And so this pastor, his title is Director of Client Engagement and Resources. And so he's out there to really just bless our clients and bless our staff. He's there to help them, to pray for them, to encourage them in any way. So it makes us a little bit different than other CPA firms, because we have this person that most CPA firms don't have, that soft side of a full-time employee.
Yeah, my favorite title that he uses is the undercover pastor. I always laugh when he uses that title. So, well, that kind of plays into in life. Some people, they're in business, and the bottom line is they're chasing the margin ultimately, and they just want to make money. But I know that that's not how you necessarily see things, because, yeah, we all work, and working hard is positive and makes us feel a sense of accomplishment. But tell us, what do you think is the most important thing in life in general, and what are some of your priorities that you try to keep in mind?
Well, I think God wants to bless each one of us financially. I think there's that blessing that's there He wants to do, but I don't think He wants our focus to be on that. Our focus to be on kind of what I had just mentioned, is intentionally living our life to bring impact and significance to other people. Because as we do that, as we focus on bringing significance and impact and intentionally doing that to other people, then we're just going to be blessed back in return.
Yeah.
So really trying to make sure that I'm doing that in every part of my life. There's business is difficult, so it's not always easy. You don't have clients you've got going all sorts of directions, but to step back and say, okay, let's look at this from a different perspective. How can I continue to still bring them impact and significance through this difficult time they're going through, or to help them get through this hurdle, or whatever it is going on in their life?
Yeah. Well, as you are, advancing in your career with bringing on partners, growing the firm, etc., and maybe things, your finances getting to a good spot, what are some of the things that you like to spend your money on, and things that you enjoy putting money into to either help people, help yourself, help your family? What do you like to do?
Right. So we like to give to our church and to some other charitable groups that we give to, and then really spending time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids during high school and junior high, we had to get really tight. So just to be able to bless my kids, do things with them, do things for them. Just this last week, I have 5 grandchildren, and so all 5 grandchildren came over, and we had cousin camp for 5 days. I was exhausted afterwards, but that was fun. We had cousin camp, and so then the parents of those kids got to go off and go on a trip. But just pouring into my family and then to the staff too, as I can.
Yeah. And what's been a more fun experience for you, being a mom or being a grandmom?
Oh, well, grandma for sure, right?
Yeah, because most of the time you can give them back at an agreed upon time, but
Yes.
maybe not this last time.
Yes, you know what? They love Mimi. I'm Mimi, and they love Mimi, and they were all sad to leave Mimi. All of them were sad. So isn't that sweet? But they had to, and I was kind of sad, but not too sad, because last night I got to be home with just my husband, and it's like, whoa, wow, we have no tiny little ones
Yeah.
running around today.
Yeah, so let's ask maybe just a couple fun personal questions to wrap us up here. So, you said you've gone on vacations, family vacations. What's maybe in the last few years one of the most fun family vacations that you've gone on with all your kids?
Well, we went to California to Yosemite Park, and that was just a whole lot of fun, seeing all the redwoods. And we went to the sequoias, and that was a whole lot of fun. We went not too long ago to Utah and went to some of the national parks. We love going to the national parks. They are so pretty and so beautiful. Of course, we always like going to the beaches too.
Yeah. And then when you retire, maybe you will, maybe you won't, who knows, we'll see. Where would you retire to? Where would you like to live? Where would you kind of live those relaxing days in life, we'll say?
Well, I would say, Troy, I'm in my retirement home right now.
Okay.
So I live in the country, and I have chickens. And I love my little chickens, and they like me, because I go down there and I say, hey, chickie girls, and I give them food, and they just love to see me and love me to go talk to them. But I'd say in my retirement home right now, I love where I'm at, and I'm close to my grandchildren, and I think I probably won't leave.
That's good. Yeah, and I think you said your little chickie girls get a little moody whenever you're not there, and they
They
don't
do.
cooperate the same way.
They do. They like it when I'm around.
Yeah. So we'll ask this then. What's the future look like for Annie Fairchild? Maybe in the next 5 years, what do you see yourself doing?
Well, I just see just being part of this company growing and stepping into a little bit a different role, more of a visionary role, really kind of helping just new programs at the firm, helping to mentor other people at the firm, I'm still very involved in client work, and so I'll probably continue to do that a little bit, but it'll probably become less as I just pour more into the staff and more into the vision and growth of the firm.
Sure. And then wrap up with this question. So for anybody who's either thinking about taking the step to open up their own business, or even for our current clients that have their own business, like you said, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's great to be an entrepreneur. What's the advice that you would give them on maybe one, starting the business, or two, to keep pushing forward?
Well, you have to. So I would say before starting my own business, I wouldn't have called myself a salesperson, but you have to. And usually, those first couple of years, it's a very challenging. I would say invest in technology. You have to invest in technology. We started right away investing in our technology and using that technology. That was some advice that I was given at the very beginning. Keep your expenses small. Don't go and try to rent the most expensive office and buy all brand new furniture. No, just work from your home. I mean, I've talked to so many entrepreneurs that they started in their dining room, or they started in their garage, started in their backyard, or with a small little van or something. Start small. There's no reason to go out there and press. I think people are more impressed for those that start small and keep their expenses small. So try not to go into debt, because that debt is just going to hurt you in the long run. I talked to an entrepreneur not too long ago, and he went out and bought all brand new equipment, all brand new trucks, all this brand new stuff, and he's been in the business for a year, and he's an incredible amount of debt, and I'm not sure he's going to make it. And he went and rented a fancy office. Like, did you need to do that? Trying to keep all your expenses very, very small, trying to keep out of debt, and you're gonna have to work really hard there for a while.
Yeah. So maybe trying to make your dollar go as far as possible and not just have all the fanciest and the biggest things. Sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and work at it.
Yep, that's right. There's no need to go out there and impress other people. Just it is what it is. You are where you are. It is what it is, and you're doing all you can to get this business going and up and running.
That's right. Well, thank you, Annie, for coming on. We'll definitely have you on in the future with maybe we'll see a tax law change come on, so we can talk about that, or all other things that our clients and audience will have questions on. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Troy.